Hello, BookTube. I thought we might take an amble through the latest Entertainment Weekly. You all seem to like when I do that. Those of you who are maybe not watching from America, you still might know this because it's got worldwide distribution. But it's an American entertainment magazine. It's largely written off as supermarket checkout fluff, but it's not. it's a magazine, an entertainment magazine that people pay attention to, and one of the reasons is because its saturation into all stratas of American society is almost complete. The circulation is well north of 2 million. That's nothing to sneeze at. And getting a mention or a write-up in Entertainment Weekly is a huge boost for anything. They cover the whole spectrum of the arts world. And except for actual art. They also don't mention opera or anything like that, but pop culture. They cover the whole spectrum of pop culture, and I love reading it. I mean, I would feel bereft if I suddenly didn't have Entertainment Weekly. And one of the things that perks me up about it is something that I've mentioned whenever we do these little segments, which is that you would think that that's Julia Roberts on the cover. You would think that this would all be about the latest hot Hollywood product, but actually, every issue of Entertainment Weekly is positively saturated with books. I mean, granted, the actual book section, way at the back, past the packing crates near the emergency exit, is pretty small, and it's the last thing you get in the magazine. It's despised and rejected of men. But the magazine itself, its paid advertisements, its theme articles, is just suffused with the book world. And I bet that we'll find that is true. Every time we go through one of these issues, we find that it's true. So let's see how far we have to go. And look at that. Look at that. The very first page. If I remember correctly, if I recognize, all four of those women have written new Tina Fey Bossy Pants type memoirs that are not really memoirs. It's a whole new subgenre in the publishing world. They're called memoirs because the publishing world doesn't know what else to call them, but they are really written down stand-up routines. Usually hapless, usually, oh my god, I had a whole tube of cookie dough, or oh my god, aren't kids crazy, that sort of thing. But it's stand-up material. It's the written out version of what you would do for a crowd. It's not a memoir. If you call it a memoir, then you are insulting 200 years of memoirs. Are serious, thoughtful examinations of yourself and your past and the people in it. These books are not that. They are much more. To call these kinds of books memoirs is to call everything by David Sedaris a memoir. Not to disparage anything like that, but it's just the wrong word. That's all. It would be as wrong as when these books seem to be written largely by women, and when men do these kinds of books, they're often called, in a standard example of the routine sexism of the publishing world, when a man does a book like this, it's often called essays. And the titles are grotesquely wrong in both cases. They're neither memoirs nor essays. But that right away, we just get into the issue. And, somebody who doesn't know the publishing world is going to look at that picture and say, okay, who are they? What do they have in common? They're going to be intrigued, and they're going to find out what they have in common is books. So let's see. Let's keep flipping on here. Look at that. Wow, the must list starts off with a book. This is Tina Turner's book, My Love Story, which is new, and which is her follow-up to a truly good memoir. Whoever she paid to write it under her name really did their job, called I, Tina. I, Tina is actually worth reading. I haven't actually read My Love Story. But right away, it's one of the very first things in the issue. That's fantastic. So what else have we got here? Okay, all right. Also on the must list is another bookish thing. This time a TV adaptation of Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, which has been getting rave. I haven't actually watched it myself, but it's been getting rave reactions from people, and those reactions often include very fond memories of reading the book. And the book I can attest to. Shirley Jackson is an author that has grown on me steadily over time. I read most of what she's written many, many, many decades ago when she wrote it, and at the time, a lot of it struck me as fairly thin. But it stands up to rereading. There's a deviously strong mind at work in almost everything that I've read from her. So I really do need to watch The Haunting of Hill House. I just haven't done it yet. What else have we got here? Oh God! All right, there's another article on the haunting of Hill House. Okay, so it's getting the saturation treatment here. All right, then we move to the long article on Julia Roberts, who is an avid reader, but I don't think that'll come up in this interview. Okay, we also have a full-color paid advertisement for a tobacco product, with the Surgeon General's warning printed at the bottom. Surgeon General warning, cigar smoking can cause cancer of the mouth and throat even if you do not inhale. That warning, as we've covered before, is wrong. That warning is a lie. It does cause cancer of the mouth and throat. It does. It's not that it can. Saying that it can is like saying jumping out of an airplane at 30,000 feet can cause you to die. It does cause that. The only studies that are worked into this wording, which, believe you me, was vetted in court and had millions and millions of big tobacco money thrown at it in order to get this wording. The only studies that vitiate a completely blanket statement of this product causes X are studies that have been completely funded by big tobacco, by the people who want there to be spoiler numbers in the end aggregate. So that when you look at 100 studies, you will have a couple that say, well, sometimes it doesn't. That is not true. Those studies were compromised from the beginning by big tobacco, by evil corporations that want to sell these addictive drugs, and so, of course, want there to be an element of doubt involved. There is no element of doubt. That warning should read, cigar smoking causes cancer of the mouth and throat in all cases. Because it does. But anyway, you don't need to hear that rant. Okay, there's a long article on that. Oh, you can't really make that out, can you? On the new Queen movie. Ironically enough, because the star of the Queen movie is a 6-pack-a-day tobacco addict. And then we get the feature article, which is about the memoirs by these 4 women, which are called "I Might Regret This." Oh, goofy me. "This Will Only Hurt a Little." Oh, goofy me. And what are the others? Okay, I don't see the other titles, but boy, you're in the middle of that article and you get a full-page color ad for a production of Wicked, which was a book. It was made by a book. It was made from 2 books, right? It was made from the Wizard of Oz series by Frank Baum, and then Gregory Maguire's pastiche called Wicked. Okay, then we get on to movies, and I don't recognize anything here. Oh God! All right. Well, I'm not a big pop culture addict, so yeah, the movies I don't recognize at all. There's a full color thing for Anne Rice Blood Communion, and look at the legend on it. We don't sparkle, we slay. So not only is this a full half-page full color ad for a book, but it's got an explicit callback to another book, because Stephanie Meyer is never going to hear the end of it. That her big reveal of how badass her vampires were was that they sparkle in direct sunlight. But that's all bookish, and we're nowhere near the book section yet. Oh my! Oh, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina gets a review here by Darren Franich. I have watched the first 2 episodes of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and it mystified me. Really mystified me. I really don't understand the central casting. The actress who plays Sabrina, I really don't understand the casting. She is a cipher. It's like watching a plank of wood with bright white hair. And it doesn't work. I mean, because she's supposed to be passionate about a whole bunch of things, and also she's supposed to be explicitly inhuman. So the one thing she can't be is just blank. That's the one thing she can't be, and I don't understand the direction. I mean, I'm sure the actress is talented. I don't understand why the director or the showrunners wouldn't say, okay, well, this that you're doing here, this slightly dead-eyed, null affect approach when the camera is on, you might want to try something else. Try something else, even though it might alienate someone. So now I'm wondering what the reviewer thinks. Let's see what we have here. The The rest of this derivative Netflix bloated season gave me buyer's remorse. Oh my. So the first episode was good for him, but not after that. The saga's the saga is unmistakably Potterized. Sabrina is an orphan mudblood, half-breed, who attends magic school with predatory Slytherin aristocrats. She seeks vengeance against some athlete tormentors when a honeypot scam requiring teenage girl squad disrobing. That's a reuse of an old Riverdale plot, and an example of how the show balances feminist fire with deflating PG-16 provocations. And Sabrina has a Sabrina problem. Called upon to simultaneously perform wide-eyed innocence, chosen one superheroism, and activist rage, the actress who plays Sabrina compromises with blankness. Okay, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one who noticed it. I wonder, it's a nice lengthy review. I wonder if the boyfriend is mentioned. The actor who plays one of the only men in the whole series, the actor who plays Sabrina's boyfriend, Charlie. I wonder if he gets a mention. I'm only 2 episodes into the show, and I can't quite figure out not only where I've seen that actor before. I know I've seen him in a starring role somewhere before, and I don't want to Google it. I want to figure it out on my own. And 2. I've watched only 2 episodes and I can't quite figure out what the showrunners are trying to do with him. I guess we'll see. He seems to have no power whatsoever, and he only speaks in cliches. And he also has a fairly dead-eyed expression. So, except for one scene, there's one scene in the first episode where Sabrina impulsively tells him what she is. That she's half-witch, that she's on her sweet 16, she's going to ascend to be with a dark baptism for the Dark Lord and write her name in his book. And the boyfriend, Charlie, is angry and confused and mystified. But even there, it seemed muted even there, and she removes the memory of the whole incident, so it doesn't matter anyway. Okay, that's good. That means I'm not the only person who was getting that impression. I'm still going to watch the rest of it, though. Okay, another bookish thing. Boy, look at that. Okay, so one half of this next page is a very large expanse of sea. I think a YA novel. One half is that, and the other half is a review of the new incarnation of a series of unfortunate events, which is a book, which is a series of books. So we're doing fine for books before we even get close to the book section. That's wonderful. Okay, not a full-page ad for there's a new anniversary box set of the Hunger Games trilogy with a long interview with the author, and the books have been given a spiffy redesign and whatnot. That gets a full-page ad. That's great. Then we get to music. Steve doesn't know anything about the music the kids like so much. But now we're finally all the way back. You can hear the rats skittering in the garbage in the back alley, so we know we're in the book section. What do we got here? Oh, the very first one. Wow. The very first one is a review by David Canfield of Friday Black, which is a book we've seen on this channel. This is by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah, and it's a debut, and I thought it showed a lot of promise. It had flat-footed moments, the way all debuts do, but almost all debuts do. I can think of a couple that were freakily assured, but most of them, you can tell that it's a debut novel. Another way, in 2018, another way, if you're confused, another way that you can tell that a work of fiction is a debut work, the very first thing the author has written, is to see whether or not it's put up for a major literary award. If it is, then if it's on the long list for the Booker or the Pulitzer or the Nobel or the Z Magny Prize, then you know that it's a debut novel because they're the only ones that are worth nominating. Let's see what Canfield has to say about it. I hope he liked it. He gives it a B+ rating. Adjei-Brenyah executes his premises with an elegant Black Mirror-like realism, though his world building is a bit uneven. The book drops recognizable faces, a teen drawn to activism, a retail worker drained by Black Friday's spectacle, into worlds so strange they couldn't possibly resemble reality. And yet in their gnarly intensity, their polemical potency, they hit us where we live, here and now. Sometimes it takes a wild mind to speak the plainest truths. Okay, some of that slips into reviewerese. I try in my reviews never to use reviewerese, because it doesn't help the reader. And it doesn't help the author either, because it's designed to be incomprehensible. That they hit us where we live. Sometimes it takes a wild mind to speak the plainest truths. Okay, I don't really know what that means. And I wish that the reviewer here had not invoked Black Mirror, because I only barely know what that is, and in 2 years, even its biggest fans won't remember it. So it doesn't help at all. It doesn't serve the book to write something that's so dated, even if it has immediacy. There are in a situation like that, at that moment in the review, believe you me, there are 6 different ways that you can convey that immediacy to an audience without invoking a show that's in current vogue. But I guess that's kind of the house style of Entertainment Weekly, right? You want to link all the hot current Vogue stuff to all the other hot current Vogue stuff. But a B+, that's good. And a nice, big, generous page, that's going to be wonderful for the author. Fantastic. Then there's a piece on Everything Under by Daisy Johnson, which was remarkably underwhelming. Oh, look at that. This little feature on the side. A sleeper hit. A chronology of the success of Where the Crawdads Sing, a debut novel by Delia Owens that was picked up by Reese Witherspoon for her book club and has taken off since then. That's wonderful, charting that like that, because that's going to get people to want to read the book. Then sometimes Entertainment Weekly will interview a celebrity about the books that they like, called Books in My Life. This time they're interviewing RuPaul, who has a book, Guru. So that it serves a double purpose there. They talk to RuPaul about Tales of the City, Valley of the Dolls. Wonderful. Wonderful. And then there's another review by Leah Greenblatt of a book by Rosalind Brown called The Lake on Fire, which I do not know, a historical novel. Fleeing the pogroms of Russia for the promise of America, Charlie Shadorowski winds up improbably in the wilds of 19th century Wisconsin. Huh. Though fire licks at the edges of something that is never fully ignites, it's still a sharp study in class, politics, and manifest destiny. A story that somehow never grows old, no matter how many times it's told. So that's a fairly positive review. Also gets a B+. I don't know the book. Never got a copy of it. What is it, baby? Huh? You want to see your friends? Oh. You know I'm talking to them? Is that why you want to see them? Huh? Oh. Okay, and then we finish up with New and Notable, which has Elevation by Stephen King, his novella that's his latest offering this season. It's about a man who steadily loses mass. So he's not getting thinner, but he is weighing less every day. He looks the same, but he's less dense every day, and it keeps going. And I remember when I talked about the book on this channel, I remember I said, okay, well, that's bad. That's a bad sign anyway, that a popular author is cannibalizing a previous premise of one of his earlier books. But Stephen King could still pull it out. And I remember saying on this channel, the worst thing that could happen in Elevation would be if the man who is losing mass continues to lose mass without any explanation, and the end of the book is that he literally just floats away. On this channel, before I'd read the book, I said, that would be the most Stephen King-esque and the worst possible thing that could happen at the end of Elevation. And I won't spoil for you whether or not I was right in fearing the worst. Oh, but the New and Notable also notes the library book by Susan Orlean, that's the bright red one, and it's incredible. Just amazing. The DNA of the book is a crime from a few decades ago where a listless young man sets a library on fire in Los Angeles. And it's a major fire. It burns. It's super hot. It becomes a perfect storm of combustion meeting combustible material. And that story, that true crime story, where Susan Orlean narrates that crime and also digs into the evidence. She reopens the case to see what's going on here, who are these people, maybe go back and talk to as many of them as possible. That's the DNA of the book, but woven around that, all around it, out in all kinds of directions, is what libraries are and how we love them. Just an incredible, incredible book. I don't know which part was more effective for me. I was spellbound the whole time, so I'm glad to see it on their list. I hope that it does really well this Christmas, this holiday season. I'm really hoping that. And that's it. That is the Books and Entertainment Weekly. we have Julia Roberts on the cover because she's got a couple of projects coming up. But as once again, as we've noted many times, this pop culture magazine is absolutely saturated with bookish content. So I always think that's fun. And since you're my captive audience, I can walk you right through it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. But I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.